Hello everyone, my name is Chin Valdez and today we're gonna be talking about our Hypercarry Changli. So right off the bat, we have to get this out of the way first. But Changli is categorized as a main damage dealer who's able to give fusion damage amplification and resonance liberation damage amplification for specific teammates. So with that, Changli can properly function on the main DPS role as well as the sub DPS role, or how some would even call it as second DPS or double DPS. So Changli is very versatile and can be teamed up with majority of our current roster of characters here in Wuthering Waves. So if you have her on the main DPS role, or if you are gonna be running a Hypercarry like I would be running, you can team her up with Taoqi, Yinlin, Sanhua, Yang Yang, Mortifi, Spectro Rover, maybe even Danjin. Or if you're gonna be running her as the second DPS role, you can run her with Chixia, Encore, Jinshi, which I don't have, or even Havoc Rover, or maybe even Calcharo. But personally, because I do like Changli's playstyle, I like her style, I like her aesthetics, I like her effects, I do want to run her as my main DPS. So I personally run her with Taoqi. And previously, before I did get Taoqi, I was a Sanhua main. So my Sanhua is pretty decently built, and by decently built, I mean she's leveled up. So sometimes I would run her with Sanhua as well. Now, Sanhua doesn't really have a direct synergy with Changli. It's just that as a Sanhua main myself, I do have that certain mastery which I don't have with the other characters. So maybe someone like Mortifi could fit that slot better, or maybe even Yinlin. But for today's video, I want to demonstrate how I rotate with Changli using Sanhua or Taoqi. Now, before we get into Changli's team rotations, I have to make sure that you know her bread and butter combo. Now, there are actually several guides on her bread and butter combo on YouTube, and I actually have a guide on that as well. But just in case you guys missed it, it goes something like this. So let's pretend that my grapple is Changli's intro. So we intro into Changli, go straight into true sight charge, plunge, which puts us in basic attack 3 and then basic attack 4 and true sight conquest. If we were attacking a target, we would have already had 2 stacks on her Forte Circuit. So next, we would go into her resonance skill, true sight conquest, resonance skill, true sight conquest, which would give us 4 stacks of her Forte Circuit. We trigger her Forte Circuit Flaming Sacrifice by holding left click. We use her ult, Radiance of Fealty, which would give us max stacks again on her Forte Circuit. Then holding left click would use Flaming Sacrifice once again. So that's more or less Changli's bread and butter combo that all Changli players must have engraved into their mind. Because later on, when we start changing up her teammates, her general rotation and combo will change. But having the fundamental bread and butter combo of Changli will help us break it down for whichever teammate she's paired up with. So starting off with a sub DPS like, let's say, Sanhua, and Sanhua can be replaced by whichever sub DPS you prefer, preferably a sub DPS who can build Conshare to gauge very fast. So Mortifi could do that, Yinlin could do that, so any sub DPS of your choice. So with this kind of team, you would want to bypass all of Changli's basic attacks when possible. Now why is that? Because her basic attack does very small damage that even buffing it with Sanhua still wouldn't be worth it to use her basic attacks. As much as possible, you'll be dealing more damage with Changli the more times you use her resonance skills, the more times you use her Forte Circuit, and the more times you use her resonance liberation. So that's where the gigantic chunk of Changli's damage comes from. So we will always be trying to not use her basic attacks. So the way we do that is, per rotation, we try to intro into Changli twice. So we double intro into Changli. So why do we want to intro into Changli? Well, for once, because introing into Changli immediately puts her into true sight state, which enables us to use either true sight conquest or true sight charge, both of which will give us a stack of our Forte Circuit. So it should look something like this.
こんな手はどう？えい！痛いの？飛んでけ！任せて。朝日のきらめく霜のごとく湖中の線。こんな手はどう？息抜く氷を烈火きらめき。私の後ろに
So these are our Changli stats. We do have her signature weapon. So we're using the Molten Rift set, of course. And we have her at sequence 1. So for Verena, I think everyone already knows how to play Verena, but we're using variation on her, of course, for her Concerto energy. Rejuvenating Glow. And at sequence 0. And finally for our Sanhua, we're using the Emerald of Genesis. We do have Moonlit on her, but our Moonlit Echoes are not leveled up. So we have them at level 20. This one's at level 18. So I just recently got these Moonlit Echoes because I was using Sanhua as my primary main DPS since day 1 of Wuthering Waves. So I don't have a decent Moonlit set for her just yet. And she's at sequence 4. So that's how we run Changli on a Hypercarry team with a sub DPS who builds Concerto energy very fast. But what if we use Taoqi, who builds Concerto energy very slow? So normally what I would do on this Changli Taoqi team is instead of double introing into Changli, I have to double intro into Taoqi instead. But Changli will be taking the field for a longer period of time, which will then force us to go back into our bread and butter combo, including the plunge attack into the basic attack 3 and 4, and then into the True Sight Conquest. So we're not able to do the whole basic attack skip anymore. And also, we will not be able to do the same swap cancels that we did when we still had Sanhua on, because we're gonna need to have Taoqi's outro skill on Changli the entire time. So it should look something like this. So these are our Taoqi stats. We're using the Discord. It also has the Ceaseless Aria passive, which will help us gain more concerto energy. With higher refines, your rotations will be much smoother. Of course, we're using Moonlit set on her, and she's at sequence 6. Now, the problem with Taoqi rotations is only the first rotation. So it's very hard to charge up her concerto energy with her initial rotation. And a lot of it will depend on RNG because you will want to use strategic parry on enemies and you will not be able to use it if enemies are not attacking you. But once you get through the first rotation, your second rotation onwards will be smooth sailing from there. Because you're gonna be introing from Changli into Taoqi, in which case you'll be able to use strategic parry straight away without having to wait for enemies to attack you. Now we are running Changli on a Hypercarry team, but I do firmly believe that her most optimal and most powerful teams are still gonna be the double DPS or the second DPS or sub DPS role. With our current roster of characters, that's gonna be with Chishia and Encore. It kinda works the same way as how Ayaka's strongest team in Genshin Impact was to be paired up with Ganyu on a Moriana team alongside Kazuha and then maybe Mona or Kokomi, where you have 2 DPSs on the same team. If you've enjoyed the content, consider liking and subscribing. I stream every day on twitch.tv/ChinValdez. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on our new videos. Hope to see you all on the next one.
失ってき